been here since 2016. Something else, huh?
Yeah, it's been a long road, buddy. I really enjoy my time here and enjoy coaching these guys and the people in the building and everything like that. It's been an awesome experience since I've been here, yes.
I've asked you this before, but what's been the key to your longevity? Because most of the time, you don't see a special teams coordinator have this kind of tenure in the league.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I just try to keep my head down and do my job, man. And, try to stay in my lane and do the best job I can and try to develop people and things like that. And fortunately enough, especially for my family, that I haven't had to move my kids around and stuff like that. And it's been, like I said, it's been a pleasure to be here for this long, especially. I've been a real lucky guy.
So many changes in special teams from a personnel perspective each year. So the challenge for you guys is incredible throughout the National Football League, not just here. A lot of ebbs and flows. But last year, one of your higher points, I would say, when you go back and look at yourself in 2023, as far as the season is concerned, what sticks out?
There were a lot of positives, I thought, but there's certainly a lot of things that I felt like we didn't do a very good job on. And, the importance of fundamentals and everything, which we're practicing the entire offseason. You try to attack those with tempo and trying to get everything right that you didn't do a very good job the year before, while trying to do the things that you did well. You're still brushing up on those all the time. But, the fundamental part of special teams and good special teams play is everybody working together, being on the same page and everybody knowing their stuff. And while I thought, like I said, I think we did some good things. There's some things that we certainly could be better. And, the stress, the standard of which we need to perform is at a really high level, and that's how we coach them, and the guys have bought in, and we got a really good group of guys here that work hard, and they're doing a nice job. Seems like they're getting the techniques down pretty good, and especially with all the unknowns with the new kickoff rules and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how we do it, and just excited to get it going and see how we do.
I think Rick Gosselin does the best year-by-year special teams rankings. He's been doing it for decades, and he had you guys number 3 overall last year. Let's start with your kicking duo. Both those guys, Thomas Morstead, Greg Zuerlein, entered the spring as free agents. How big is it that they're staying here?
It was huge. It was number 1 and number 2 needs for me to try to get back. But you talk about that whole trio of specialists with Hennessy and Morstead and Zuerlein and all just great guys and great pros and you never have to tell those guys to help lead your room. You never have to tell those guys to go work. You never have to tell those guys to do all the things that it is to be a pro, taking care of your body and they perform at an elite level when it comes down to it. And so, anytime you have 3 really good specialists, it certainly you can piece in the parts from there. And, that's what we're trying to do. Those guys are some of the best in the league, if not the best.
As a player or a coach, have you ever experienced a kicking season like that from a duel?
Last year?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that's the best duel we've had here. We've had some really good performances and stuff like that, but that group really came along and did a really, really good job, and I expect the same this year.
Can you speak to Zuerlein thriving, not just in regular in-game situations, but late? It seemed like when he was called upon late, he needed a kick, he gave it to you.
Right. I think that goes to a testament of him and his longevity in the league. Same with Morstead, same with Hennessy. They're all pros. And, when you put them in those situations, and whether it's a game winner, whether it's a game to tie the game, everything like that, I don't even worry whether he's not going to make it and things like that. So, I have the utmost confidence in all those guys and the way they perform. And they had a heck of a year last year, and I see nothing but them getting better, to be honest with you.
On a perfect day at MetLife, say it's 72 degrees early in the season, September, maybe it's week 4 against the Broncos. What's his range? Little wind.
A little wind.
Just a gust.
I mean, I was seeing him 2 days ago. I think he was kicking 65-yarders.
Yeah.
You know? And you may get longer than that depending on a little wind here and there, you know. So he's got plenty of leg, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He does a great job. All that, the operation there between those three guys is fantastic.
What about Morstead? We've talked before about his expertise in directional kicking, and we saw that again last year. I thought the game against the Giants, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, was one of the best punting games I'd ever seen.
Yeah, he is. You know, like I said, all three of these guys are, but Timo he's a machine, man, and he just keeps going and going, and you know, a lot of guys will decline when they get older. It seems like these three guys are getting better, and you know, I appreciate the heck out of those guys. They actually came snowmobiling with me after the season and stuff in Utah, so we had a good time, and you know, I kind of did it as a trip to thank them and stuff, you know, because they did such a good job. But Morstead is a ultimate pro. He takes the leadership in our room. You know, the way he handles his punts directionally, he's a pleasure to be around all the time. You know, you cannot say good enough stuff about him, and you know, all three of them. But you know, he's done a heck of a job since he's been here.
So what was that time like in Utah?
It was fun.
Yeah,
we rented a big house in Park City and took them snowmobiling, a couple of them for the first time, and they had a blast.
How'd they handle it?
It was a lot of fun. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Who was the best rider?
I'd say Morstead was a little more daring than the other two. Then Hennessy, you know, he would get after it a little bit. Zuerlein, you know, after the first day, he got used to it, and they were riding really well actually in the second day and stuff. So we had fun.
Who's the best storyteller of the bunch?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably Zuerlein. He's got that dry sense of humor, man. He's hilarious. Yeah.
Hennessy, you've mentioned him often. Even when I asked you specifically about Z or Morstead, you make sure that he's not forgotten here. I mean, it's like from a pitcher's perspective, the guy's just throwing perfect games after perfect games.
Yeah, he since I've been here, you know, I don't know if I've seriously, and I can honestly say this, I don't know if I've got on him five times.
No.
And because he does stuff right, he studies his stuff, he knows his stuff every week. He's consistent as there is, you know, as any snapper in the league. Throws as good as ball as anybody in the league, and he's a huge part. That's why I mention him all the time of what those guys did last year specifically, and even when Morstead was here the first time and things like that. He's been a consistent here since I've been here, and you know, it's a great thing to have those three kind of great guys that perform like that and are such pros. I can't think of them enough. That's for sure.
What's the landscape look for you now on the outside without Justin Hardy, who flourished here? Mm-hmm. You really took his game to the next level. You guys knew he was a good player in New Orleans. I thought he got even better, and the accolades came.
You know, certainly a guy like that is going to be missed. You know, but you know, we have some very capable guys, and you know, there's an army of people in camp right now that you know, you work, and some guys look really good. Some guys are really picking it up, and it all comes down to what happens in the preseason, and then you pick the best two and roll with those gunners, and you know, hopefully having Timo hit the edges, which is really good, and try to limit returns and create field position. You know, so. You know, it's a good group of guys that work hard and everything, and we'll see how it shakes out in the end.
What's Irv's potential there? Because he made this roster primarily for his ability, what he could do on teams. Yeah, he's going to continue to develop as a receiver. Right now, he's working off to the side during OTAs.
I think Irv's potential is as high as anybody in the league as a special teams player.
Wow.
I really truly believe that. You know, it was some detail work and stuff like that. The way he plays, how big, long, and fast that kid is, and he's really good in all phases. You know, a lot of guys are specialists, so to speak, that are really good on punt and maybe kickoff, but they're not so good in blocking phases and things like that. Irv's got the ability to do all four phases and be a standout in all four phases, and so he's heavily relied on And I think he can be as good a special teams player as anybody in this league. I really do, potential wise.
Do you talk to him about the opportunity that's at hand, or he knows it's there?
Absolutely. I talk to him all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think he gets tired of me, getting after him and stuff like that. But I think he obviously knows that I'm trying to get the best out of him. And Irv is a worker. He's an awesome kid. You can't say enough good things about the kid.
A big body dude, and he can run.
Oh, he can run. He's strong as hell, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Brandon Eccles? He's a guy that's been playing opposite Hardy for years. Now, I got to imagine your expectation is maybe more of a leadership component?
Yes, absolutely. He's, I was just going to say that. He's, Eccles has been really good since he's been here. And he's done a really good job for us. And every time he gets out there, he is consistent. You know exactly what you're going to get. Which I really like, and he's taken a more of a leadership approach this offseason with the young guys, and I really like that. And he's been a big part of what we're doing here since he's been here for sure.
I think I'm going to save the best for last, and that's the new kickoff return rules. We're going through personnel right now. Xavier Gibson to the house, the dramatics in week 1 last year. But what did you make of him as a rookie in both return phases? I was looking at his punt return stats. A lot of fair catches, but the counter on that is, well, he's catching the ball, and the other thing is when he did return it, his average was very good.
Right. Yeah, I think you saw flashes of what he can be, and I think X can be a really, really top 10 kind of good returner in this league, and I think he's proven that last year. There's some stuff that you need to clean up with catching balls and not fair catching in some situations and stuff like that. All that happens because they're rookies. They're not used to being in those situations. I think you saw a big improvement of him getting vertical more instead of going sideways late in the year. Especially specifically, in the New England game and all that wind, and he's going up there and catching it in the snow and saving us a ton of field position, and the progression of him, throughout the season, I thought was really good, and especially his offensive role went way up.
Right.
And I think that's where, he was playing a lot of offensive ball, and so I think that, at times that he probably got a little worn down, to be honest with you, but he's an explosive playmaker, does a really good job, and I expect nothing to see but steps as he keeps getting better and better.
Do you see a more confident cat out there on the field, even
Absolutely.
in OTAs
it's
right
not
now?
Even close. Yeah. The way you see him, how he prepares, how he's working at practice, everything's full speed, things like that, and that's all the stuff that we had worked on last year that he's taken the next step of being a pro and practicing like a pro, and he's taking a leadership role with all those returners back there, and I tell him what we need, and he filters it through the room and stuff like that. So he's doing a great job. I expect really big things out of him this year.
It was a cool moment the other day at practice when Aaron rolls to his right, looks down the field, down this sideline, comes all the way back across the field, hits X for a 59-yard score.
Yeah. It's Aaron's a heck of a guy, and a heck of a player, obviously, and he's been so productive for so long, and what I like about it is, I played with Dan Marino my rookie year. It reminds me so much of standing there back there watching him, and how fast he gets rid of the ball and how easy it comes out of his hands, and the leadership that he has, and it'll be really good for this football team, that's for sure.
Can you speak to those similarities? You just touched upon it a little bit, but when you look at Aaron practice, and then you go back and watch those moments in Miami with Marino.
It's just the way how fast he gets rid of the ball and how easy, he does that stuff, and the no-look passes, and obviously he's one of the best to ever do it. And but there are some similarities there that I see, in the leadership component to it, where he's helping coach all those guys, and if he sees something, he knows what the line's doing, and what the backs are doing, and he tries to correct them right away, and helping those guys get better, and that does nothing but lead to team success, in my opinion, and Danny did that too down there.
Have you talked to him about Marino?
I haven't.
I'm sure he liked those conversations because he's a guy he's definitely a history buff.
Right, right. Yeah, he's been really good to get to know here. And like I said, I think the biggest component is the leadership aspect of it, and let alone the supreme talent that guy has, is going to help this team a bunch.
All right, drum roll. What is the NFL's new kickoff rule? If you're at a dinner party somewhere in the summer, or maybe you're on the lake, you're fishing in Utah, and somebody says, "What's going on? What is this new kickoff rule?"
I think it's they're trying to constrict the space and the speed of the game and to limit injuries. And but I think what you're going to see this year is it's almost an unknown because it's never been done here, in the league before. And it's different than the XFL because we have more space. They pushed us back 5 yards even more than the XFL. So as much, tape that we have studied in the last 4 months when this came about, it's a kind of a wait and see on what you can get to, what you can't. We're experimenting every day that we do it. The different kicks and different strategies and things like that, and different techniques. It's so much different for cover guys. They're going to be on top of you faster. You're not going to have as much space to beat them. It's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. How the rules may change in the preseason,
right,
depending on how people are approaching this rule. And so you don't know what you can do because you can't line up 11 against 11 and go full field covers every 5 minutes or every couple minutes here, And so you really don't know until the true preseason, what returns you can do, everything like that, and where you can get your doubles from, your traps, whatever you may be working on for the week. Where do those guys need to single? All that stuff, nobody knows because nobody can go out there and practice full speed the way it needs to be practiced. And do that because the players just, you can't do that in the off season like you used to so much, what I'm saying? So,
right.
It's a lot of unknown, but I'm excited for it because it makes the players, I think it's really exciting for the players because the players are now, special teams guys are valuable guys. They're going to have to cover, I'd bet you 80% of the kicks this year.
So specifically, you're still kicking off from the 35.
Mm-hmm.
Your coverage unit now is
on the plus 40.
On the plus 40.
Yeah.
And they can't move
until the ball hits the ground or it's touched.
Right.
And so nor can the kick return team that's on the 35. They're only 5 yards away. And then you have two more in the back end wherever you want to put them, and then two returners. You're going to have two returners as opposed to one all the time this year because of the balls these kickers will be able to hit.
How does that change? And I'm not asking you to give away all your secrets here because some of this is experimentation,
Mm-hmm.
like you just talked about. But how does that change the role of a returner? You still want to take it to the house, but are you looking for, as far as that skill set, are you looking for a different player than maybe you did in the past?
That's a really good question. I think that again, that's kind of a wait and see deal. I think a good returner is going to flourish no matter what. And we have got to, it's our jobs as coaches and as players and specifically the blockers and everything to make the most of their talent and make them right. Whatever their skill set is, it's our job to figure it out and to take advantage of it. I don't think you're going to see a monster difference of little scat kind of guys back there or big dudes that just putting their foot in the ground and get vertical. I think that your scheme is your scheme when you come up with it, and you tailor it to what the returner can do the best, and you try to do all the things that we've always tried to do since we've been here, and take advantage of their talents and try to feature those guys. But that returner, whoever that starting dual returner is,
right.
Gibson, for an example, he's going to get probably 80 plus punt returns, and he's probably going to get guaranteed probably 40 to 50 kick returns if he's the dual guy. So there's not one other player on this roster other than Aaron Rodgers or probably Breece Hall that are going to touch the ball that many times in a season, 130 times in a season. And so I think it's paramount to have those kind of guys. And
so you need a couple of guys, though.
You have to have two guys, and you know, wherever they may shake out from, you know, and we've got a bunch of good returners in here, and trying to get those guys going, and you know, the Joe and his staff has done a nice job of bringing some guys in and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, buddy. It really will.
Jets fans have asked after the rule came out, said, Breece Hall, man, he's a beast. He's up 4'4" guy, 200+ pounds, knocking people over, whatever. He doesn't need a lot of space. Take Breece's name out of it. Do you think there are going to be more teams apt to use running backs in that spot here in 2024?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, with their vision, their run skill, they're used to running those kind of tracks, things like that. But you also have to be a decision maker and everything back there, and make good decisions. And the balls that you're going to see this year, I think, are way different than it's ever been. I think you're going to see a ton of balls, a bunch of liners that are getting on the ground and stuff like that. Like, obviously, Breece is an elite talent. Would love to use him, but unfortunately I can't. But you know, those kind of guys would be unbelievable. He'd be an unbelievable kick returner, you know, if you're ever able to use him.
Well, you never know. Well, back in the day, Antonio Cromartie in that big playoff game, obviously a different era against the Indianapolis Colts. But when the Jets needed a big return, they throw Crow back there and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously cornerback. Tariq Cohen. What have you appreciated about his game from the time he entered the National Football League, even go back to when he came out? Because I think you were a fan of him in college. I
was a big fan. I think he's, you know, I went down and worked him out. I believe it was North Carolina A&T or something like that, right? And I went and worked him out, and I remember saying something to him like, "Dude, do you ever smile?" You know, in the middle of the workout. And I worked his butt off, you know, in the workout. And what I really liked about him and I appreciated was he was all business, man. I mean, he didn't smile one time. Yes, sir, did everything I asked him to do. And you know, I see a guy that, you know, specifically, you know, coming out of college that had unbelievable run skill, vision, talent, quickness, short area burst, long burst. I mean, he was a complete returner and player, and I did like him coming out, and you know, he's doing a really good job since he's been here, and he don't say much, and he just shows up, straps it on, and goes to work, and you really like guys like that.
How much is he embracing this journey, because he's went through a lot of late as far as the injuries are concerned, have really, you know, his career went on a detour. Yeah. And now he's trying to reignite it.
Yeah, he's had some tough luck with injuries and stuff like that. And you know, I think you're starting to see him get healthy and get the you know, get his stinger back, so to speak, you know. And I think he's a guy that's going to be in that mix of returners for us, and we'll see how it shakes out in the end. But I'm excited to see what he can do in the preseason, that's for sure.
Who else is in that mix right now? You mentioned X and
Davis and all those guys. Right. Valladay. I mean, we've got an army of guys back there.
So I wanted to ask you about the young running backs, because you just transitioned there. Mm-hmm. Isaiah, Braylon. When you watch them college tape, do you see them on teams? Because they got the ball so much at Wisconsin.
You didn't see much of it, so a lot of it's a projection.
Right.
So, you know, when you try to evaluate these guys, like just specifically for special teams, you know, if they're not playing much special teams, I want to see if they can block. Right. Are they willing to stick their face in there? And then when you see them run the ball, what's their vision like? What's their run skill like? You know, can they set up returns, you know, stuff like that? Because the returner is the best blocker that you have. And the way he sets up returns and things like that, and how we show them around here, you know, I think that those young kids specifically, you know, you watch Davis and you watch Allen, and they've been awesome since they've been here. Yeah. This is a really good group of guys throughout the whole deal, and especially the rookies have come in this year, and they've done a really good job, almost as good as any rookie class that I've seen. You know, it's not perfect all the time, but specifically this rookie class has come in, learned really well, and bought in. You know, people aren't walking in late and stuff like that. Like years have passed that sometimes that you had to get after people and stuff like that. This class has not
That's a hell of a
been like that.
compliment coming from you.
Yeah, it's they've done a great job since I've been here, and like I said, they've picked up stuff really, really well. And so now instead of leaving them in one position, I'm starting to move them around and stuff like that, because then once they get one position down, I'm changing them sides. I'm moving them to the other side in case, you know, you have injuries in a game and stuff like that, where you're not going to have to move 3 people around for one guy if somebody goes down. And so you try to develop, you know, scheme flex with those guys, and they've handled it pretty good. And, you know, like I said, is it always perfect? No, but this group specifically has been pretty dang good.
Speaking of scheme flex, how about Corley?
Corley's done a nice job
Yeah.
since he's been here. You know, he's got some stuff to fix, but just like anybody, we all do, coaches, players, everybody. But he's certainly a talented kid, and he's a physical guy when he gets the ball in his hands, and you know, we'll see how that shakes out in the end.
The young DBs, Stiggers and Key, how have they adapted so far?
Really well. I think they've done a really nice job. You know, I think that you'll be able to use those guys pretty much anywhere. You know, and there's some free agents too that are really coming along, doing a nice job, and whether that's corner, safety, linebacker, there's some receivers that can really run and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out, and then when we get the roster finalized and everything, you see who you got, and let them hunt. You know.
Yeah.
So,
what's your thoughts always heading into a training camp, as far as what you just spoke about? Is that there might be a guy who's very good at teams, but maybe the need is there more at the position group A, and ultimately guy doesn't make the roster. So, like, can you talk about what goes through your mind in roster construction? Because it's got to be difficult every year for every position coach, but for you specifically.
Yeah, I mean, life of a special teams coach is basically you're putting a puzzle together all the time.
Yeah.
And because you never know who you're going to end up with, you know, especially specifically like you know, a few spots here and there. I think you have a pretty good idea, but, you know, but that's really what I appreciate about the job. And it's a big challenge to find out what can this kid excel and what can he do and what can he not do, and where do I put those guys, and how do I piece this puzzle together. And you know, the progression of coaching and playing and stuff like that, and how those guys fit into specific environments, like I said, taking advantage of their skill sets, and where do you put them and within your scheme. And I think that's, you know, it's tough sometimes to have some guys that you really like and you don't get them and stuff like that.
Right.
That happens every year, and that's part of the business. And I'm 100% good with it. You know, but it is challenging at times. But like I said, that's part of what makes it really cool, because you have as a special teams coordinator, you talk to the whole team, and you have a relationship with all these guys, and you know, Smash and everybody who helps on teams, and even the position coaches and Sala and everybody, they stress the importance of it, and I think that's made a big difference here. And so, you know, they stress the importance of special teams and field position, and they try to help me as much as they can. And I think that's, you know, when you get help like that from your coaches and things like that, it just, you know, goes down to the players, and then it's a matter of finding out what they do well and taking advantage of their skill sets.
I know for years a lot of guys in the league were worried that they were going to take kickoffs out of the National Football League, out of the game. They were phasing it out. So once you heard the league proposal go through in Florida at the league meetings, how energized were you?
I think it's, you know, you're going to go from, I think it was 22% return kickoffs last year in the league. I think you're going to go to 75, 80% returns this year.
Wow.
And so it's going to be a big difference. Like I said, it's going to look different. There's going to be a lot of balls rolling on the ground, just because of how they're going to try to attack everybody. You know, it's going to look totally different to the average fan, just like it does to anybody in the league right now. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I think there's going to be some opportunities for some big plays with the new rules and everything, and how everybody's going to be approaching it. And so, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it because it makes, especially those young men that play on all these teams and everything, that were almost an afterthought. Now the guys that I made a career trying to do it myself is those guys that are playing all special teams. You're going to have to cover 80 kicks this year, maybe 90 kicks, where last year we didn't cover very many.
You can't go get your beer anymore.
Yeah, true.
You mentioned Zuerlein a couple times as far as the kicks are concerned. You said you're going to see a lot of different kickoffs. How much is he practicing on that right now throughout the spring?
Quite a bit. I think this is, for a guy like Greg, he's got all the kicks in his repertoire anyway, but these are certainly different kicks. And, we're experimenting with him here and there, but he's got a ramp up period that he works on, specifically, and that you ramp up and you touch on little things that you want to work when he's here, and then when he goes home this summer, he'll have a bunch of stuff that he'll work on, and as they progress and start getting better and better, and the locations get better and all this stuff, that it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out and how it all works, because nobody knows.
As somebody who has been here for a long time and has seen a lot of rosters and played in the league for more than a decade, what do you think about the talent? I know it's just on paper. I'm not asking about wins and losses, but as far as this roster is concerned, what are the New York Jets? What can they be?
I don't want to give any projections. I really don't. Right. But I think that Joe and Sala and all their staff, I think they've done a really good job of trying to fill the holes where the holes were needed and that needed to be filled. And I see a pretty talented group, and I see, if we don't turn the ball over and we play complementary football in all three phases and everything like that, I think that we're going to have a good year. I really do. And we'll see how it plays out. And obviously there's a lot of unknowns, but certainly I think that Joe, they have done a good job of filling out this roster and really helping this football team.
But before that, plenty of fish to catch in Utah. What are you going to be catching?
All trout.
All trout.
I'll be floating down rivers in Wyoming, Montana, and Utah for probably 20 out of the 30 days I'm home, so it'll be fun.
Enjoy it, brother. We will see you back here for training camp.
All right. Appreciate it, buddy.